Alright, defoggers, what makes a good anti-fog treatment, what are the best solutions out there, and actually, what is the science behind condensation? All of this if you stay tuned. Welcome to another video for Eyeglass Supply Store. Today we are talking about defoggers and defogging treatments. You will learn what condensation is and the best way to prevent it. And as a bonus, I will show you what astronauts do in space. As always, if you want to skip any part of this video and go straight away to the section that you are interested in, feel free to use the table of contents in the description below. Let's start from the basic. What is condensation? Because we all know that you have plastic, glass or polycarbonate lenses, sooner or later they will fog up. So according to National Geographic, condensation is the process where water vapor becomes liquid. It is the reverse of evaporation, where liquid water becomes a vapor. And there are two ways that condensation can happen, via dew point or via saturation. I just created this image to make you understand what's going on. So the water droplets outside a soda can are caused by air reaching its dew point. Dew point simply stands for condensed water in the atmosphere. It's just its definition. Basically, the warm air hits the cold soda can surface and condenses. Generally, when warm air hits a cold surface, its temperature drops, reaching the dew point. Consequently, water vapor present in the air condensates. On the opposite side of the spectrum, there is condensation via saturation, and also here this image can help you understand what's going on. For example, when you take a hot shower, the mirror in the bathroom fogs up because of saturation. The air is so saturated with water vapor that releases droplets on the mirror surface. Basically, the air can't contain water anymore and it releases it on the surfaces all around. And if you understood these two concepts, you also understand why your eyeglasses fog up in different situations. For example, if you operate in a humid environment, your eyewear might fog up via saturation, and if you are wearing a mask below your glasses, also that is condensation via saturation, because your breath, the vapor that's coming from your mouth, can simulate a very humid environment. A different situation is when you are operating in a cold weather or in a cold environment. Usually your eyewear is warmer because it is closer to your skin, to your face. But when the air in between your eyes and the glasses reaches its dew point, then it's when condensation happens. Well, there are mainly two types of anti-fog solutions. You can permanently affix an anti-fog layer on a lens, and that is an anti-fog coating, or you can find a treatment, in other words, an aftermarket solution that you can spray on the lens, and it provides defogging properties. Just to show you an example of a multi-coated lens, usually coatings are applied over a glass lens and embedded in a plastic lens. It means that if the lens is made of glass, the anti-fog layer is affixed at the end via film, more or less in the same way the tint is sealed to sunglasses. This is because the anti-fog layer must be embedded into plastic anyway. Instead, if the lens is already made of plastic, then the anti-fog layer is integrated, it is within it, and it is usually made of a polymer-based system. In both cases, the anti-fog effect usually doesn't last forever. It usually lasts from 3 to 12 months. There are some permanent solutions, but they are not very common and they are still very expensive. So if you think to buy glasses with a defogging layer already within them, you must know that a layer will not perform forever and eventually the anti-fogging feature will deplete. Again, it depends on the manufacturer, but there are some limitations. For example, certain anti-fog layers need the UV light or heat in order to be activated. But it also provides certain advantages. For example, you don't need to purchase an aftermarket defogger, and you can rely on a long-lasting fog-free effect without additional product. Personally, I recommend anti-fog coated lenses only if you work in a fast-paced environment. For example, if you are a nurse, if you are a first responder, if you are in the military. But if you are a normal person and use glasses, in the daily life activities, you don't actually need an anti-fog coating on them. If you are looking for an aftermarket anti-fog solution, then you really need to understand how anti-condensation products work, because all works differently and there isn't any defogging solution that works in every situation. But don't worry, I will guide you through this jungle. Most of the defogging treatments are sold in solid form. They can be liquid, creams, wet wipes, gels, or additives. For example, additives can be applied by optical professionals directly on the lens, and the substance basically exudes from the inside of the plastic lens to the surface, providing the defogging effect. But what is the technology behind? So you have mainly two types of the technology. You have the surfactant and the hydrophilic agents. Surfactant agents basically are also hydrophobic. It means that when they are applied on the lens and condensation starts forming up, they split the water droplets in very, very, very little pieces. So you can see through, because you have these small droplets that are invisible to the eye. While this technology works very well with anti-reflective lenses, it is usually more delicate, because if you rub the lens or if there is too much water, the surfactant agent will be washed away. It works very well with anti-reflective lenses because if you use the other technology, hydrophilic agents, they actually create a very thin and even water layer on the lens, and that's why you are able to see through. So basically, when condensation forms up, they attract all the water droplets, they put them together, and they form this layer of water that you can see through. The problem is that, as you may know, is water reflects light very well. So this thin water layer together with the anti-reflective technology within the lens, it actually increases the disturbance from light or sun rays. You can also create an anti-fog solution yourself, for example by using a soap-based solution, but the final outcome will not look like a professional made defogger, because you will see little particles, residues and streaks from the soap. Saliva is also a good surfactant, and actually when I was going to the beach with my father, I remember that he taught me to spit on the lenses of the diving mask in order to block condensation. And I know that nowadays you don't do it anymore because you have so many products out there, but yeah, you know, if you want to save money or if you want to follow your old one teachings, then this is the way to go. In general, you will never find a defogging agent that is able to remove condensation for a long period of time, especially when the water vapor concentration in the air is really high. This is because there is a cap on how much water the defogging agent is able to spread on the lenses, whether it is a surfactant or an hydrophilic one. Now that you know the technology behind the defogging treatments, I'm gonna tell you my best picks for each category. The gold standard of defoggers, in my opinion, is a fog stopper from Dynamic Labs. This small bottle is one of the most powerful surfactant agent in the market, and it was also considered the second best defogger by New York Times in 2021. This works very well with anti-reflective coatings. You just need one drop per lens. The best way to apply this is with your fingers. Don't use any microfiber cloth, use your fingers, because the cloth can actually absorb the defogging agent and you will not have the expected outcome. This will last a very long time. If you don't rub the lens, its effect will last around 24 hours. The second best defoggers that I really like is Purity Fog Stopper. This bottle is really value for your money because it contains more defogging solution than Fog Stopper of Dynamic Labs, but it will not work on AR lenses. In fact, this contains hydrophilic agents. The advantage is that it has a 2-in-1 action because it actually cleans the lenses and also defog them. For the sake of this video, you must know that contains a small percentage of isopropyl alcohol, deionized type 2 water, and a detergent, and it is perfectly safe for all lenses and coatings and effective on non-AR lenses. The best way to use this is to spray once and clean the lenses, so all the foggers must be applied on clean lenses, otherwise they will not work. So you can spray it once with a microfiber cloth, wipe the lens dry and clean, and then spray it again, and with your fingers spread the formula on the lens in order to have a fog-free vision. In general, I really recommend this for divers and people that use safety eyeglasses or scuba masks because they don't have AR lenses. So this is a very inexpensive and effective options for this kind of sports or risky jobs that require polycarbonate lenses. But now let's take a look at the wipes. Fog Stopper, the brands of before from Dynamic Labs, created this kind of defogging wipes. I have it here, okay. This is a wipe made of surfactant agents, and it is very effective, especially on AR lenses. So it is AR lenses safe and also effective. It is a very expensive, it is an expensive solution because it works, it actually works, and it is made in the US, but we import the microfiber from Korea. If you watch one of my previous videos about microfiber, you will learn that South Korea is one of the best countries that supply the top-of-the-line microfibers. The filaments in this cloth are as small as 0.1 denier. For example, if you compare it with a human hair, your hair have approximately a diameter of 5 denier. So imagine how small these filaments are. So we import the microfiber from South Korea and we complete the manufacturing process in our facility in Long Island, New York. It is very durable. The anti-fog agent is activated with a liquid, so you just need a few drops of water. If you don't have a lens cleaner, you can just use water or your breath if you are on the go, and it will activate the defogging properties. It is very convenient because it will clean and also defog the lenses because you have a microfiber cloth and the anti-fogging agents within the cloth. While it is true that this cloth provides cleaning and defogging in the same time, it has also a certain disadvantage. For example, you can't machine wash this cloth because if you put it in the washing machine, you will lose all the defogging agent. So if you want to buy a cloth like this one, you have to remember that over time it will leave streaks and smudges on the lenses simply because it's gonna be dirty and there is nothing that you can do about it. If you want to machine wash this cloth, of course you will lose all the defogging agents, but you will be able to use it as a normal microfiber cloth, so also this can be an alternative use of this wipe when you are done or when the anti-fog effect is completely exhausted. Personal considerations. Well, after I have used many different defoggers, I realized that there isn't a solution that works for everything. You just need to pick what best fits your needs. And actually, recently, UltraVue has released its own defogger. You can find it on Eyeglass supply store. This uses the same nanotechnology that NASA uses for defogging agents for astronauts' space helmets. In general, I would gravitate around droppers because these are the most effective. I wouldn't buy wipes because good wipes, effective anti-fog wipes, they really cost a lot of money compared to a bottle of a dropper. Instead, if I like sports, like for example diving, I would prefer a more inexpensive option such as a Purity Fog Stopper. The million-dollar question: who invented the defogging technology? Think that the first development of anti-fog treatments was started by NASA in 1966 during the Gemini 9A space mission. This mission had different objectives. One of those was a spacewalk that was done by the astronaut Eugene Cernan. And during this activity in the space, he got so tired that his helmet fogged up, and the condensation was so bad that he had to rub his nose on the visor in order to clean it up. And again, in a second instance, while he was trying to remove a mirror on the side of his spacecraft, the cooling system of his suit overheated and his visor completely fogged up again. Basically, after this mission, NASA understood that a gas cooling system wasn't sufficient to remove heat from the body and the suit fast enough in order not to create the condensation. So they start developing anti-fog agents, and they recommended to astronauts to rub a defogging compound on their visor before every spacewalk. And of course, in addition to this, they also have a direct stream of air directed to the visor in order to remove heat farther and prevent condensation to form up. So you understand from this NASA example that it doesn't exist an all-around solution that prevents fog. The only way to deal with condensation permanently is, of course, remove the condition of the condensation. So of course I invite you to try the products that I recommended and see if they work as advertised. If you like this video, please comment below and let me know if you know other defogging products that maybe work better, and let me know your opinion about this technology that is always evolving. And if you are curious to know how stuff works, subscribe to this channel because we talk about everything optical. We talk about lens cleaners, eyeglasses, smart eyewear, defoggers. We have interviews with opticians. It's really interesting. This is the channel that an eyeglass lover wants to follow. Remember, if you want to save bucks, always spit on the lenses, and I see you in the next episode.